All right, over the weekend, I went back and I figured out where my problem was. And unfortunately, I did the same thing twice incorrectly, which screwed everything up. But I went back, redid the entire thing, everything seemed to work. And I even taped it. I didn't put it out there because I just wanted to do it in front of you, with you. Why? Because I think it's important that we start doing this. You have a responsibility in that everything that you're working on this semester and next semester should be being used with version control. One of the things that's being asked by a lot of companies when you're going in there is, what experience do you have with version control? There are other version control systems other than Git, other than Bitbucket. There are a lot of them out there. You could even go to work for a company that has their own. But the point is, if you've shown you know how to use Git, you should have a leg up on a lot of other people who do not. So that is what we're going to do. Now, I would strongly suggest that you go back in and whatever you created, not maybe in Git, but whatever you created on the desktop the other day, just get rid of it. All right? I mean, I was going to come in here and make bad jokes and whatever. It wasn't Friday the 13th. It was that I wrote something down wrong on the instructions. And that's on me. It's not on anybody else. All right? Like I said, after I went back and redid it, I went back and redid the instructions. And I want to explain to you later as we go on, and hopefully after we get this to work, all right, why I'm doing this and exactly what I am expecting or hoping that you're going to all get out of this. All right? So I'm going to come in here kind of like we did the other day, but I'm going to right mouse click on my desktop, choose new folder, and I'm just going to call this, because it's a database first, I'm going to call it DBF demo. Again, what you call it is really not that important, as long as it's somewhat reflective of what it is we're trying to do with it. So again, first thing I did was to come in here and create an empty folder named DBF demo. DBF for Database First. All right? And inside of there, I'm going to create yet another folder. Now, we did this last time, but where I screwed up, just so you know, where I had you save stuff, I had you save it one level too deep in the folder structure. If I would have had you save it at this level, so if we would have been at DBF demo, everything would have worked. I didn't, so it didn't. All right? Okay. And I'm just going to call this ContosoUniversity 2. What you end up calling it isn't that big a thing. Now, we are going to, in just a minute, go back into Git and make a project by this name. So if you know you've already got a project named ContosoUniversity 2, you wouldn't want to use that name. Make it 3. Make it 300. It really and truly isn't that important of a thing. All right? But that's what I'm going to call mine. Okay, so with that in there, I'm still at the DBF demo folder. That's where I am. That's where I'm going to stay. And I'm going to go back in, and just as I asked you to do the other day, I'm going to say go into github.com/new, which puts me here. You've seen all this already, so we should be able to go through this part fairly quickly. You didn't do anything wrong last time. You didn't do anything wrong, period. I did. All right? So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to create a new repository with the same name as this folder name right here. That is going to be important. So I called mine ContosoUniversity 2. If you called it that, that's what you're going to want to do. If you called it something else, make sure that the folder that you are about to create has got the same name. Everybody got that? We've talked about this before. I'm going to come in here, and under a description, I'm going to give it a brief description. And this is pretty similar. I may have done a little bit of rewrite, but I said this is ContosoUniversity 2. And I tried to keep it simple. And MVC5 database project utilizing entity framework 6 plus and Git. And I'll leave that there for a minute. All right, and Git. All right, and we could make it, I mean, if you're that nuts over spelling, you can make entity framework 2 words. It's a comment. What I want you to realize, when we create the MD file, this is the text that it uses. Okay, that's the stuff that it's going to use. So it's going to give it this title, and then the text is going to say this. All right. So again, if you don't like my verbiage, you want to change it around, that's no big thing. But I'm always going to expect that it's going to be professional. Okay? Tell you this real quick, and if I've mentioned this to you before, I apologize. When I took my first programming class, the first one I ever had, was in a language that's so old it's hardly ever used anymore. All right, that's how dated I am in this stuff. But when we worked on our final project, we had this language allowed you to use go-tos, which are not a good thing in programming, but it allowed us to. And our teacher said, make sure that you give your go-tos, when you're telling it to go, a descriptive label. And people in the class, we all did that, except that when we were working on it, they literally kept our lab that we were using open the entire night before. We were working 24 hours to try to finish it. Well, I didn't make funny names, but people in the class did. Not everybody, but some people did. They thought this was cute, and the teacher failed everybody who did that because he said they were being unprofessional. All right? Now, you could say, well, that wasn't fair. It doesn't matter. All right? But the point is, if you're going to work on a job, you should put something in here that's professional. If this is going into your GitHub repository and you're going to make it available for possible future employers, you want what's in there also to be professional. All right. I take it everybody's got that. So we want it private. We will initialize this with a README. So private, initialize with README. We will use a git ignore. We will again type in Visual Studio, and it's one word. Choose this. All right. We don't care about a license. I just wanted to show you the license capability, but that's fine. So I'm taking for granted everybody named the project, wrote a description, made it private, initialized it with a README, and added the Visual Studio git ignore. All right. If you've done all that, click Create Repository, please. Again, if you for some reason want to have a license in there, you can put it in. Really and truly doesn't matter. All right. And if you do look through there, they've got one that's actually called, I think it's the unlicensed. And basically it says, this is my stuff, but you can do whatever the heck you want to do with it. So I suppose you could always choose that one if you really wanted to. But I think, Chris, you might have been the one, but somebody asked the other day, like, really, why would you want to do this? For lack of better words, if I had put a bunch of code out there that I told people to use, but either they had to modify it for themselves or give me attribution, and I was able to prove that somebody grabbed my code, sold it with their name on it, I'd be entitled to damages. And that should make sense to everybody. Same kind of thing with singers and stuff. If there was a thing, what was it, Lady Gaga or somebody, I don't remember who it was, but supposedly had pilfered the beginning of somebody else's song, and it cost her like $1.4 million. Maybe it was Katy Perry. I don't remember. But okay, yeah. I mean, and the stuff has happened before. Let's put it that way. All right, and it'll happen again. So I mean, life in many ways. Yeah, this is great because I'm taping this. But life is a big game of cover your ass. It is, and that maybe isn't fair, but that's basically what it is, and that's what you're doing here. So come down here. And what you notice right now, I've got literally, it says here, one commit. Okay, I've got one branch. If you don't know what a branch is, And again, I don't know how much we spoke about this last semester. Let's pretend for a second that each one of us is working on this project together. So we've got one copy. You could all do what's called, like you do at a library, check out your own copy of this code. And if you did that, you'd have your own branch. All right? So you check it out, you get your own branch, then you can later merge yours back with the original. All right? But we're not going to even talk about that right now. I'm not going to click on here. If I did, it would show you everything that's in the git-ignore file. If I clicked on here, it would show you everything that's in the README file. Does that all make sense? All right. Look at that. We've got 10 minutes into the period, and I haven't screwed up yet. All right. That's a good start. Okay. So the next thing that we want to do is we are going to want to come in, and as we talked about the other day, all right, we are going to want to come over to here and choose clone or download. All right, my screen's a little big, so you might have to, but you can see it now. Big green button here. I'm going to click down there. God bless you. And I'm going to grab everything that's here. Again, you can highlight it, copy it to the clipboard, whatever way is easiest for you. I'm going to click the clipboard icon right here to copy that. All right? Because we're about to clone this. And ideally now, we're going to clone it and put it into the right place. All right? So now with that said, I'm just going to minimize my current screen here, and I'm going to go back, and I do not want to be in ContosoUniversity 2. That's where I was the other day. I don't want you to be there. I want you to be in the upper folder, the DBF demo. All right? That's where I want everybody to please be. All right. The next thing we want to do then is right mouse click on this folder and choose Git Bash here. Very similar to what we did the other day. Oh, I'm sorry, not Git. Try it again. I did Git GUI. Git Bash here. There we go. That's where I want to be. And I will tell you, it's very interesting reading articles and watching videos and listening to people. Tim Corey, the guy that I talked to you about on Friday of last week, he's one of the many people, and I was taught this same way, that use the command line. It's much safer than using a GUI. But that Git GUI will work too, if you want to do that. So the commands that we're doing using the command line, you can also do more GUI-ish with using the Git GUI here. But I'm going to keep using Git Bash. All right? I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. All right? And I want to type in git space clone space, and then I want to paste in, I want to paste in exactly, whoa, I don't know what I pasted in there. Okay, it's because I went and copied something else first. It's okay. We fixed it. Give me a second. So let me copy that again. All right. If you ever get a bunch of kind of garbagey looking stuff, for lack of better words, like, not that. So if I'm here and I bring this up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want any of that stuff there, you can just type clear. And it clears the screen. So git clone, hopefully I'll have a little better luck now. Right mouse click and choose paste. There we go. All right. So now I am telling it to literally make a copy of everything that I have, and everything that I have that is inside of the ContosoUniversity 2 that's on my repository. All right. Some books, some tapes, some whatever, they will say that when you are here, they will call this a server. This is the server side. Technically, it's not a server. All right? So I'm just telling you that because you may hear that terminology. Okay? Now, I'm going to hit enter. And as it says there, it's going through the cloning process. Now, look on the screen if you would, please. Look what's there. Look what's not there. All right, you're like, yeah, there's your ContosoUniversity. Look what it did. It put everything inside of that folder. It did that because we used the same name for the folder as we did for our Git project. All right?
I don't have all of them.
Yeah, I don't have the little folder.
If you don't have this thing that says .git, what that means is, and we can figure it out, but what you'll have to do, we can do it. Let's just do it. Probably what that is this. Probably. All right? And that is you don't have your file extensions thing turned on. All right? So it says, how do you do that? Okay? And they're telling you in here you can come in through your folder options. How do you get there? All right, probably through a control panel. Let's see. I know there's different ways that you can do this. That's probably a cleaner way. Let's do that. So let's right mouse click on here and choose File Explorer. I just right mouse clicked on my icon for folders and chose File Explorer. All right? And if you come in there, it says, otherwise, again, it's Control Panel Appearance Personalization. All right? But what we want to do, in fact, you're right, John, but I'm going to try to do it their way because I'm grabbing something online. I don't want people to say, well, I didn't do it that way. All right. So, all right. It says Control Panel, go to Appearance and Personalization. I think, wasn't there, this has changed. You want to know the easiest way to do it? And that is to just be at your desktop, because this is how I do it, period, and just right mouse click on your desktop, not there, and choose Personalize. What's that?
Your projector.
Great. I'm hoping that doesn't keep happening today. But the bottom line is this, as I try to get that to come back. All right? Your stuff is there. You don't have the option on to show file extensions and folders. And those are special file extensions and folders that start with a period. That's why they're not showing on yours. All right? They should be there. All right?
All of my options will show hidden files, folders, and drives.
There's a bunch of different options that are in there, but we'll have to take a look. It says there what you want to do is you want to go under View, and you want it where it says Hide Extensions for Known File Types. All right. It says now you can see them if you turn that off. You don't want that to be hidden, in other words. And again, if I were you, at least don't worry about it. It should be just fine. All right? Okay. Now, please look up on the screen again. I think you'd all agree, I have grabbed everything from my previous repository. Okay? If I wanted to be sure right now, if I'm on my local machine and I want to send something to GitHub, everybody hearing this? If I'm on my local machine and I want to send something out to GitHub, that's a push. If I'm at GitHub and I want to send something down to my local machine, that's a pull. So the local machine pulls stuff in and pushes stuff out. Does that make sense? All right. Reason I'm telling you that is I'm going to type in git pull. All right, not a Git repository. Oh, I got to go back to where I was. I'm sorry. Let me go back. Now I got to go to my Contoso 2. ContosoUniversity 2. If I want to see this. So I'm there. Notice I can tell that I'm in a Git branch because it says master there. See that? All right. What I wanted to show you is if I type in git pull, it should say already up to date. And it does. That means that there is nothing that's on under github.com for this project that differs from what I currently have. Does that make sense? All right. So now that we've done all this stuff, at least for right now, I'm going to take this and I'm also going to minimize it. And I'm going to start up Visual Studio. Yours might be going already. Don't know. We're going to create a new project. All right? Now, remember, what we're going to put in here again, if you remember, is we're going to type in blank for a blank solution. Do you all understand, if you look up on the screen here, that in this example I just showed you, we've got an outer folder that's named DBF Demo. When I double click on it, it shows me an inner folder that's called ContosoUniversity 2. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes? In much the same way, when we create this blank solution, all right, the solution itself, we're just going to call it Contoso. I don't think I have anything called that. That solution is like this right here. And inside of it, we're going to end up putting inside of it our Contoso University 2. Does that make sense? All right. So right now, I do want a blank solution. So I went under Create Project. Again, if you don't like doing it that way, you can look through here. You can look through here. But the easiest way is just to type in blank right here. All right. And I'm going to choose the blank solution. And I'm going to click Next. All right. Now, a couple things. First of all, okay, it says project name. Again, I'm going to just call it Contoso. Period. Now, it's very important when I'm doing this, all right, that we take this, now we did file new project, but we're not creating a project right now. Remember, we chose blank solution. And that's just a verbiage that Microsoft uses. I don't know why, but they do anyway. But the important thing is where we want to put this is out on our desktop and right in our DBF demo folder. Not inside of Contoso University 2. Right there. So we want to be here at our desktop, if that's where you put yours, and underneath the desktop, DBF demo, or whatever you happen to call it. All right? So that's the folder where I want to save it. So I am creating a project called Contoso. I am giving it a location, and I shouldn't even say that, because there really isn't, that's not the project name, that's really the solution name. All right? And it's blank, so there'll be nothing in it, and this is where it will live. Does all that make sense? All right. Once you've got all that, click Create. Now, I was messing around with other stuff this morning. That's why mine here looks a little goofy. So you'll notice if you look here, what we currently have is what? Well, what we currently have here is an empty solution. All right, we have a solution with nothing in it. All right. Now, as we start working with things, usually we've got our choice. We'll be able to either use in here Team Explorer, and if you don't see a Team Explorer, you might have to click View and choose Team Explorer. All right? You can go back and forth between your Solution Explorer and your Team Explorer. All right? But normally, not all the time, but almost all the time, when you are going to enter commands in here, you can either enter the command by choosing something that's in here, or you can go back to this window here. Most of the time, you'll be able to go either way, and there'll be no problem with that. All right? All right. So when you start looking at what's right here, all right, and I'm not sure exactly why, but it's got here local git repositories, new add. Doesn't look exactly the same as mine. I'm not going to worry about it. We're still going to do the best we can do right here. All right. So the next thing rather that I want to do, I want to add a local repository or not. No. We already did the clone, so that should be in there. So let's take a look in here. All right. I'm not liking the way this is looking. See this file? Please do this with yours, because I want yours to look like mine. Okay? Is this how yours looks?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, watch my tape when I put it out there. It's not how it worked over the weekend. It's how it worked now. So we're going to work through it right now. What I wanted was for that to be in here. I didn't think I did anything wrong. I'm going to double check my notes to be sure, but I don't think I did anything wrong. We did that. Did that. Did that. That's what we did. Because I don't understand why this wasn't in here. That's where I think it should have been. So don't you do this, because I don't want you to screw yours up. But I'm going to click on here and I'm going to choose copy. And I'm going to click in here and I'm going to use paste. All right. And I want to see when I jump back in here what, if anything, this is going to find. So I'm going to click in here and I'm going to say git status. All right. Now it says I've got some stuff in here that's untracked. That's good. All right. I'm going to go through this, and if it works, I'll just have you bring yours in also. If it doesn't work, then we'll take a break and we'll figure out why. All right. So right now, what I could do, if I wanted to bring this in, again, you may remember this, you may not from last semester. I don't know. But what I could do, I'm just going to show you this in Notepad so you can see what's going on here. We could come in and say something along the lines of git add dot. And that would take that Contoso thing that's there and it would add it to what's called our staging area. So it would make it available to be committed. All right? Then we could come in and we could say git commit -m and then give it some kind of a message like initial commit, something along those lines. And hit enter, and then it would be committed. All right? Now, if we did that, and we went literally then pushed it back to the other server, not that server, but what I mentioned, to github.com, then when we came back here, you'd see it in here. What we're trying to do is we're trying to keep our project and this project in sync. In other words, we're trying to make them the same project. All right, for lack of better words. All right. Not yet. Repositories were added. Okay. Don't want to add that. already done the clone. All right, it's early. I'm pausing right now. 10 minutes. We're starting it up. We're going to get this to work. All right, am I right in assuming when you look on your screen right now that if you go into the DBF demo folder, this is what yours looks like? Am I correct? Okay. Well, again, me trying to get this done too fast, I made a mistake, so we're going to fix it right now. No biggie. First, go into Visual Studio right here and close it. You don't have to save. You don't have to do anything. Just get out. So do a file exit. Just totally get out of Visual Studio. Doesn't matter where you are. You should be able to do a file exit. If it says, do you want to save? You don't have to. All right? After you've done that, but don't do it before, go back up to this folder that's right here. It's Contoso, and just delete it. All right? Then, as I'm going to do, start Visual Studio back up again. Okay. And once you started back up again, we'll again create a new project. Okay, and again up here we'll type in blank solution. All right. Now, mine might complain, and if it does, it's because I already tried doing it during the break to make sure what I was going to tell you is correct. All right. This should have also been ContosoUniversity 2. It wasn't. So this should be ContosoUniversity 2, like that. And I gave you the right location. In other words, it should be on the desktop, and I'm coming right back to it, and under DBF Demo. All right? So it should say, if you use the same naming structure I did, it should say here ContosoUniversity 2, and here it should have the desktop and your DBF demo folder. All right? If you've got all that stuff, click Create. And as it did before, this should come in. And have this. In other words, it should have just the blank project, but now with the right name. Okay? All right. Okay. Now, my hope is once we start going through this, stuff is going to sync up. We're going to find out. All right. Now, you don't have to do this, but I'm back up at the DBF demo folder. Just so you know, this stuff, the way this works, you don't have to type in any of this. All right. But basically, this is all kind of back-ended in Linux. So if you know any Unix, you can put a lot of Unix commands in here. For instance, I can type in here ls, and it shows me what's in there. If I do an ls on ContosoUniversity 2, it shows me what's in there, etc. It'll keep doing that. All right? And when you look up on the screen there, this is a good thing. And I'm hoping yours is going to be the same thing, in that what's in here right now? README, and README was what I grabbed from github.com and ContosoUniversity 2.sln. All right? Now, I believe if right here, if I do come in here, okay, and because the next thing that I'm going to want to do, all right, is if I type in get status, for example, I don't think it's going to work. I think I'm going to get an error here. And I get an error because I'm not in the repository. I'm one level above the repository. So if I wanted to see if there's anything in the repository itself in the status, then I would have to say cd, which means change directory, to ContosoUniversity 2. Now, if I come in and say get status, notice what it has here. It's trying to tell me, it says your branch is up to date, but I have untracked files. In other words, you've got to look at it this way, that when you are working in Git and you create files and you haven't done anything with them but create them and add content to them, they are called untracked files. What Git actually does is it literally takes a snapshot of your system in time. So once I go and I take, and I'm not going to do it now, but if I were to run the git add command, then it would take those the solution file that right now is not being tracked, it would add it to the staging area. So it would say, I want to track it. All right. So if I did that right now, so if I did a git add, and it's even telling me I can do that. All right. Then if I did a git commit, and then if I did a git push, if I did it like that, using just git commands from right here, then once I went back to here, I could make sure the two were synced. All right. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing it that way. Now, but the only thing I do want to tell you is there are things that are built into here to try to help you with this. Please look at the screen. I'm in the Team Explorer. Do you notice how it looks different? It's because now it looks the way it was supposed to. So if I come into here, look what it says right there. It's letting me know right now what's out of sync, so to speak. All right? Now, don't do anything with this yet because I want to explain one last thing to you here. That is, if I go back to here, and you already saw this, and I type in get status, you saw this already. You saw what was there. When you type in get status like this, and you see something that's in red like we have, those are all files that are not yet tracked. All right, why am I telling you that? It works a little bit different inside of Visual Studio. Visual Studio assumes that everything is untracked, even things you might have already tracked by using an add. So what is recommended that you do here is, like I said, you click on changes, all right, and it's showing me right here what I'm about to change. If I want to be sure that this is the one that's changed, I could have clicked on it first. I could have clicked on it first and then chose changes. But since I clicked the changes button, see where I am right here?
Where's the change?
I'll have to show you, all right? My hope was when you got into here, you'd have a bunch of settings, and one of them would be changes. All right? Now, if you don't, we'll have to work on it, even if it's individual. And I'll tell you what, Chris, let me run through this, okay? All right? But now, if you look on the screen, this is kind of the important part. If I'm back here, and I want to go and save, let's say that I did a git add. Then I'd come through here, and I'd say something like git space commit space -m space, and I'd give it a message like initial commit. Okay? And then it'll commit it. Well, I don't want to do that in here. I want to do it in here. This is the window that I use to do it in. Couple things about this window that's in yellow right here. First thing, it expects no more than 80 characters per line. You hear that? You kind of have to manually keep count if you're going to type a big thing in. Why? Because the word wrap doesn't work very well. So when you get to 80, you should just hit enter. All right? But what you do is the first line that's in here, that first line, that's the title of this commit. So we're going to put in here added .sln file, because I added the solution file. That's what we did. All right? And I'm going to hit enter twice. Why twice? So there's a blank space in between on the log file. There'll be a blank space in between the title and the stuff that comes with it. That's all. All right? And then I'm going to come in here, and I did count it. It was like 60 something, I believe, if I counted right. And I put in here added blank solution file for application. Now, I could be much more picky here. I could have said added blank solution file for the ContosoUniversity 2 application or whatever. But if you look, I'm going to back up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, 41. 41 characters. So I'm totally fine. All right? And now it's asking me, what do I want to do here? Well, if you look, I've got some actions here. Now, I don't want to do any of them. But if I click under this commit all, notice what it says. There's 3 things that I can do. They're all different. All right? The first one says commit all, which will take everything I just put into my area there and commit it. But it'll commit it just on this machine. If I do that, then a button's going to come up over here that tells me I have to sync to get it to go back to the other one that's on github.com. If I want the system to both commit everything and sync it, I can choose this one. All right? If I want it to come in and do all that and push it, I can do this one. So there's actually 3 areas where I could have a problem. I could have a problem with a commit, which could possibly give me an error. The commit could work, but I could have a problem with the sync, which could give me an error. And the commit and the sync could work, but I could have a problem with the push. Now think about why that kind of stuff might even happen. If I tried to push something to github.com, and if for some reason GitHub was down, I don't think it would work. I don't know what it does, if it queues the files or exactly what it does. I don't know. All right. Okay. So I'm going to, because I just chose this one. I chose commit all and sync. So I click that one. All right. And it's like, okay, notice I can sync. It's doing some stuff right now. Okay. And it says it successfully did that, so I can sync. I can fetch, so I can go back to the server and do a fetch and a pull and grab her. I don't want to do any of that stuff. So I'm just going to click push. All right. In fact, it looks like it did do the push anyway. All right. Now, did it? We're going to find out. How do you find out? I'm going back to here. All right. And it says I did all this stuff, and I did it when? An hour ago. I just refreshed. Now notice what it says in the middle. Added SLN file. Everybody see that? All right. Now, I want to work with people because I want everyone's to work. But I want to do one thing first. I want to go the other way. What I've shown you, maybe not that well, but at least part of it works, is how to go from and basically take something and copy it from your local machine to your GitHub repository. Let's go the other direction. let's take something now. I'm going to make a real simple change. All right, I'm going to make a real simple change to this file right here. That's our MD file. Okay? And I'm going to give it a new title. Not much. I'm just literally going to come in here, click this little icon that looks like a pencil, and that this is Markdown language. I'm just going to put a space there. You know, I could put more in there, but I'm keeping it really simple. All right, that's all I'm doing, is I put a space between the word Contoso and the word university, and all that is the title, my Markdown file title. That's it. Now, if I say, you know what, I want to be able to see what I just did, I can click this Preview Changes button, and it shows me in red what's removed, and it shows me in green what's replaced it. Does that make sense? All right. So I have made that change right there. I mean, it's a simple change. You could say it's a stupid change, but it's just to show you how this works. All right. Why is that important? Again, if for some reason you were working in a team environment and somebody said, hey, Luke, I know you're working on this, but you know you're going to want to be able to go in and pull this stuff from github.com because we made some changes in some file, whatever the file is. This is how you'd be able to do it. All right? And again, the recommendation is after you've done all this, go back down again. Notice it already even has some changes here, and that's what I'm going to say. Updated readme.md file. All right? Added proper English syntax. I'm not saying that's a great comment or anything, but that is pretty much what I did. All right? And now when you look up here, by default, it's going to commit it right to where I am. That's what I want. That is what I want. But look over here. If I decided that I was going to make a bunch of changes, and this was going to be the first one, then I could start my own pull request and make a bunch of changes. Maybe I want to do this. Doing it the way I'm showing you, you can only change one file at a time. If I decide I want to change multiple files, I may want to choose the other option. We don't want to do that, so it's fine the way it is. And I spelled syntax wrong. There, that's better. All right. So, got all that. Okay, I'm just going to click Commit Changes. All right. Now, the first thing to look at, if you look up on the screen here, can everybody see how I've made my change? ContosoUniversity is now 2 words. All right. So now I'm going to jump back into Visual Studio. All right. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to do a fetch, pull, and I want to see if that comes down. It says, notice updated readme.md file. See that? How do I know if that's actually been updated? Well, the down and dirty, cheesy little way to find out, I'm just going to show you, is to do this. Is for me to go back into my folder here, find that README file, and just open it up. So I'm going to edit it, and well, it doesn't look like it has been. All right? Okay, and that's fine. Then we'll have to make sure that it is. We have to do a commit, we'll do a commit. All right? It says there are no outgoing. Okay, we got that just now. So I'm going to click sync. It's doing something. Successfully synchronized incoming and outgoing commits. Now let's try it and see if that worked. Oh, it's because I had the old one still open. That wasn't good. No. You see where the blank space is in there now? So now we went the other way. All right. Now, I didn't mean to make it that difficult on you. but maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. But again, I do want to make sure, because it's a learning process for everybody. But my thought is next, especially for next semester, every single project that we do in Android Studio, we're going to probably do 10 as a class, and you're probably going to have 7 or 8 assigned for you to do yourselves. Every one of those will be expected to be put under GitHub. All right? What we're doing now, I didn't explain this to you at all before we did that code first. I wouldn't expect you to put that underneath there. You could try it if you wanted to, but it's an afterthought, so you might have some problems with it. All right? But what we're going to try to do now is we're going to try to start working on that project, all right, that DatabaseFirst project, and make some headway on that in here. So all that makes sense. Starting tomorrow. We are going to start it tomorrow. For sure. I've already got my lectures and stuff are already completed. Tomorrow we're going to do chapter 7 of our book. If you have your book and it helps, bring it tomorrow. Otherwise you're going to want to probably have it up and have the PDF up on your screen. All right? We're going to create the project. By the time we get done, we'll even have some simple bootstrap in it. All right? Then on Wednesday, we're going to go through chapter 8. All right? Now, you may or may not remember this, but when we went through chapter 6, I spent almost 0 time on it. Because I said there were 3 things in chapter 6, and I didn't have a lot of luck with 2 of the 3. There was Ninject, which I had problems with. There was Mock, which is a repository tool, which I had problems with. And there was unit testing, which worked pretty well. Tomorrow when we start, we're going to go back and review the unit testing. Why? Because in virtually every chapter of the book, from 7 through 12, the author has you do unit tests. And I think it's a good idea for you to do so. I'm not going to lie to you. I have been asked that at job interviews. What's your experience doing unit testing? And if you look up with that deer in the headlights look and say, I don't have a flaming clue as to what you're talking about, you're going to look like probably, well, you weren't trained well, and it's something you should at least know what it means. So I'm going to ask that you at least attempt to do the unit testing things that are in here. We're not going to do those as a class. All right, we will do the rest of the stuff that's in here as a class. All right, so with that said, I'm going to close this because I don't want it open. All right, and as we start taking a look in here then, okay, so this is broken up. This is a bunch of little mini applications. All right, so the author says, create a new project called Contoso Site. Now, unless you already have one, if you have one named Contoso Site, and I think I do, so I'm going to call mine Contoso Site 2. All right, that's what I'm going to do in just a minute. All right, but we're going to do that, and we're going to come in here and we're going to create, looky here, I don't think I'm on page 1. There is page 1. Good. So we're going to first come in and create our database, then we're going to create the class. Now, look on the screen, please. They tell you when you create the database, all right, we're going to create it a little bit different way. They tell you to call this ContosoUniversity Data. I'm going to do it with you in just a second. But I've already got one called ContosoUniversity Data. All right? So I'm just going to call mine ContosoUniversity Data like 44, because I know I don't have anything with that number in it. You want to just call yours ContosoUniversity Data? Totally fine. All right? So, taking it from the top, all right? We are now going to set up the database. How do you do that? Well, you're in Visual Studio already. I do not want to be in my Team Explorer anymore. I want to be in the Solution Explorer. If you didn't get the last thing to work, I will work with you on it. All right? But everybody should be able to do this regardless. Because when you go back to Solution Explorer, that's what it should look like for everybody. All right? So I'm going to right mouse click on here, and I'm going to choose Add New Project. Right mouse click, choose Add New Project. All right? And once I do, you can already see it here. That's what I want. Yours may not show, so I'm going to go into this bar, the search bar again, and I'm going to type in SQL Server. And notice, lo and behold, it shows me an SQL Server database project. This is yet another way, all right, yet another way that you can go in and you can create databases. That's what the author is going to show you. So yeah, that's the one I want. All right. And it comes back and it says, what do you want to name this? Again, I'm just going to call mine ContosoUniversity 44. Because I know I don't have anything by that name. All right. If you have not created a ContosoUniversity data, call it ContosoUniversity data. Totally fine. All right. And I'm going to click Create. What that's going to do is create a new project folder under what was previously my blank solution folder. Does that make sense? All right. Notice that when you create this, it sure doesn't have much stuff in it. It has a properties. It does have quite a few references. I thought it did. Maybe it has nothing. All right, then that's fine. Did everybody get this on their system? What? Because I already have a ContosoUniversity data, and I think I have a 2 and a 3, but I don't remember, so I just put a 44 in there because I know I don't have anything that big. That's the only reason. All right. So what I'm ready to do now is to create my 3 tables in here. My hope is everybody can go out to this website right here. So if you don't have that document up, you can bring it up, because the code you'll need to do that is right here, and right here, and right here. All right? It's the 3 tables that are in this document on page 3 and 4. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right mouse click on the name of my project, my ContosoUniversity Data 44. I'm going to right mouse click on it and choose Add and choose Table. It asks for the name of my table. I will call my table Student, S-T-U-D-E-N-T with a big S. And notice as soon as I do that, it does create it right here. Technically, there's nothing in it yet, all right, but it does create it or start to create it for me, all right? Then, if you look in your handout or whatever you call that thing, this is what we want to put in there. So, let's say you don't have that with you or whatever. What I'll do is I'll just put it out over here, and I'll make it nice and big. So either manually type that in or copy it from the PDF. All right? And I'll give you a couple minutes to do that. As far as putting in the data, I had all sorts of problems doing it the way they said to do it. So I rewrote it and did it my own way and got it to work. My hope is we can get it to work for all of you as well. Now, in some books, just so you see this, if you look on the screen here, some books say never do this. Always put your parens on their own line. It doesn't really matter. We could have left the paren here. I could have taken that ending paren and put it right here. It really and truly doesn't matter. All right? But I'm saying I want a new student table that has 4 fields in it. The first one will end up being my primary key. And then I have a last name, a first name, and an enrollment date field. All right? After you get this put in, and I'll just show you this. I'll come right back to this. But after you get this put in then, please go in, remove whatever is in here, and replace it with that. That's where we want to put this, is right there. Right? This is the same thing I just showed you. Okay? So you want to right mouse, put it in here. After we right mouse click, chose added new item, table. We called it student. We want to put that in there. All right? And again, if you can't read that, that's a little bit bigger. And as you'd guess, that's our first table. There is no data in it yet. We're just creating the schema. We'll do all 3 of these. We'll put in the data. And then I think you will need another break. So what we're doing is we're creating the database first. All right? And ideally, when we run this in a little bit, it will go in and create the model classes for us. We'll look at that after the break. Any questions on this? Okay, some of you are still manually typing this in, which is fine. All right, are you ready for the second table? All right, so I will remove this. In fact, I can just put the other one underneath it. That's fine. I don't think it's very big, but we'll find out right now. So the second table will be for course. Now, hold on. Just so you see this, I want to make sure you put it, do it, etc. in the right place. So what do we have to do? We have to go back into here, right mouse click on the name of our project, choose Add Table, right mouse click on the project, our ContosoUniversity 44, whatever it is for you, Add Table, and this one will be Course. All right, then come in here, you can remove what's there, and we're going to replace it with this. All right. So there is the second one. Okay. And when we get done, we're going to do enrollment, which is the third one. All right. It's a little bit bigger table. I don't know if it'll, I don't know. That was nice. I don't know if it'll all fit and allow you to see the course one on your screen or not. Just so you're aware of this, the example that we're going to do from the book is much simpler than this. What do I mean? They only use one table for the whole project. It's called products. They do everything based off of one table. When we start, hopefully a week from today or a week from Wednesday, whatever, doing our own project that we do, we're going to use a database that's got about 8 tables in it. So you get the full feeling, and it'll be a little bit more complex in that way. If you have finished it, if you haven't, I'll come back to this. But if you have finished it, then go and in here, and one last time, right mouse click on the project name, add table. This last table will be enrollment. All right, get rid of what's in there. And the enrollment table is shown right here. All right, and again, I'll put it in here. Now, I'm probably going to have to make this a lot smaller, otherwise you're not going to be able to see them both. There. Now you can see both tables. And actually, I could make it real small and let you see all three, but my hope is anybody who's still typing has got to just type in these two. You see the problem when you type like this? I'm going to end up, when we do the project as a class, I'm going to end up giving you a lot of code. You forget a parenthesis or a bracket or whatever, you screw everything up. All right? That's not my intention. My intention is for us to have a really slick project when we get done. Actually, 2 of them. Actually, 4 of them. The code first, the database first, and then the one we will do as a class, the sports store, and then this bike shop that we're going to be working on as a class. Right? If you've already done this, just so you are aware of it, okay? Don't copy it in or anything yet, but just so you know, I sent every one of you before class an email that has the data that we're going to be put in a format that works. You might want to just grab that and throw it out into Notepad or Notepad++ or wherever. All right, I do want to go over that with you before we actually put it in. So again, if you stop for a minute and just take a look on the screen, the author says next, we're supposed to put in this. Merge into, etc. I had nothing but problems with this. All right? So I went back and rewrote it till I got it to work. This is what I sent you. You have this. All right? So you will be able to see all of this stuff. And again, okay, you've got this emailed to you. So if I come through here and I look on emails, all right, one of the first ones that was emailed to you, of course I don't see it now, but it was emailed to you this morning. There it is, for Class Monday. All right, and it's got this. Don't do anything with it yet, other than if you want to, you can copy it into whatever clipboard you want to put it into. All right, so let me put that back in case anybody is still typing. Again, we will put the data in within 10 minutes or so. We will take a break. All right. the next thing that we are supposed to do, all right, the first thing that I did in here, just to make sure everything looked the way I wanted to, is I did a file save all. Okay? Then you should be able to close this thing that says enrollment design, course .sql design, and student.sql design. Okay? So your screen will look like this, which is fine. All right? The way the author recommends that you do this, all right, is to next come in here, right mouse click again on our project, again choose add, now go to new item. So right mouse click on our project, our ContosoUniversity data project, choose add, choose new item. Not table, but new item. All right? And then in here, click where it says user scripts over here. See this? Second last one down says user scripts. And we're going to choose post-deployment script, and they tell you to just keep the name, which is script.postdeployment1.sql. If there's significance behind that name, I have no idea what it is. All right? And I'm going to click add. If your screen looks like this when you're done, that's a good thing. All right? And I had nothing but problems when I had those comments in there. So once I removed them, and it's not even letting me remove them now, that's nice. Once I removed them, everything was okay. So let me try to open something else and then open the comments. Yeah, that's good. All right. So what I'm going to do is exactly what I just showed you. I want you, before we go through any of these, I'm going to do this in 3 steps. I want to show you each step as we go through it. Here's the first one. Now, looks kind of ugly. I'm going to pretty it up a little bit. And after I go through this, if it doesn't make sense, please raise your hand. All right? Again, I was online going through all sorts of different stuff with this. Okay? The identity insert has something to do with the primary key, which is right there. But I had to put in set identity underscore insert space dbo.student on. What basically that does is it says I'm about to add some data to the student table. You with me? That's what it's saying. All right, what data? Insert into, followed by the name of the table, which is student, then in parentheses, the 4 fields that are in there. Student ID, comma, last name, comma, first name, comma, enrollment date. Now, Grace, you weren't in the class with us last semester, but for the rest of you, if you remember, one of the things I showed you when we started talking about MySQL databases is when you do this, look on the screen, please. You can either leave that field out, which means you wouldn't put the 1, 2, 3 here, or if you have it in, you can either put in double quote, or the word null. This won't take any of those. What I'm telling you is, this is a bad practice. We said that the the student ID was an identity field. You all put that in. You put in identity 1, 1, which means the system should be numbering those for us, starting at 1 and incrementing by 1 each time. Well, we're manually doing it. That's not a good policy. I could not get it to work any other way. All right? So again, this 1 is the student ID. Tibbetts is the last name. Donnie is the first name. 2013-901 is the enrollment date. Does all that make sense? And then the same thing for the other 2 records. Then when we're done, we turn it off. Why? Because after this, we're going to do our course, so we're going to have to turn it on down here for course. So, at least for me, and I'm hoping it does for you, when I grabbed all this, copied it to the clipboard, went back into here, and pasted, all right, and put it in, okay, and then I clicked the button here to update. I got a message, cannot find DBO still. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Let's try this. Shouldn't have had to do this, but I'm going to try it anyway. Use ContosoUniversity data 44. Go. Cannot find it because it does not exist or you do not have permissions. This is the message that I got when I was doing it this morning with their stuff. Cannot find object dbo.student because it does not exist. That's why I literally spent an hour online going through this stuff this morning, and that's when I came up with this. All right? All this.
What's DBO?
DBO is database object. All right? They recommended that you put in here use followed by the name of your database. All right? So what that is saying is I would come up here and type in use Contoso University data, mine was 44, semicolon, and go, which basically starts the whole thing. I did not have to do that this morning. I did not. It worked just fine without it. But I just tried it right now, and it still didn't like it. All right? I just do want to show you one thing, though. We're going to take a break, but I want to show you one thing. Because I want to prove to you, for no other reason, I'm not a liar. What is supposed to happen, what should have happened when we did all this, is we should then have been able to run our project, go over to here where it says local DB SQL Server 13 right here, because when I did mine earlier today under databases, and this could be the wrong one, I'd always forget which is which. I think it is. There it is. Sorry. All right. This morning I built Contoso University data. And under tables, there's course, there's enrollment, there's student. And if I open them up in here, there's course, and if you look at the data, there are my 3 records. If I open up enrollment, there are my 6 or 7 records. And if I open up student, there are my students. Oh, and I played around, I put myself in there, sorry. But you get the idea. They all worked. So, why didn't it work right now? We're going to take a break, and during the break, I'm going to see if I can figure out why it didn't work.
Did you want us to put the use Contoso University?
It should not matter. You should not have to do that. All right? I have got 207 on here. Come back, please, at 220.